Hey everybody, welcome to Home with the Halsteads and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making a lemon meringue pie. Lemon meringue pie is good any time of the year, whether it's summer, fall, winter, or spring. Lemon pie is just a favorite, a southern classic, and a classic anywhere you live. So let's get busy and make it. It has 2 or 3 steps that we'll need to do and divide it into parts. So let me tell you what we're going to use. Today I'm using a pre-made 9-inch deep dish pie crust, and we're going to bake that before we put our pie filling in it, and I'll show you how to do that. For the filling, I'm using 1 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 cup of sugar, 7 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I sifted and I measured the flour. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, that's table salt. I'm going to use 2 cups of water. Now you can use milk if you prefer that. You can use water or milk. Today I'm using water, 2 cups of water. And I'm using 3 eggs. I'll separate the eggs. I'll use the egg yolk in the pie filling, and we'll beat the egg whites to make the meringue. I'm using 1 large, I would call this a medium to large size lemon, the juice from this 1 lemon, and I'm also going to use my grater and use the micro blade and zest some of the peel so that we can have a little bit of lemon zest to go in our lemon meringue pie. 2 tablespoons of butter, and we'll melt that, and I'm using 6 tablespoons of sugar in the meringue. Now you could use less sugar if you wanted to, but we like it sweet, so I'm using 6 tablespoons of white granulated sugar. I'm using a double boiler to make my pie filling in, and I'm going to just fill the bottom boiler with about half full of water, and then we'll put our pie filling in here. We'll mix it together. We'll put it on the stove and we'll cook it in this double boiler. So let's get busy and make this delicious lemon meringue pie. The first thing that we want to do is to bake our pie crust, and I'm using a frozen pie crust. I've already told you that it's a 9-inch deep dish, and I'm just taking a fork and I'm pricking the bottom and the sides of the pie crust. Now the reason that we do this is because if we don't do it, then our pie crust is going to rise, and it's going to have humps in it, and we don't want that. We want it to be smooth, or as smooth as possible. So I'm just pricking the sides and the bottom, and I've preheated our oven to 400 degrees. And what I like to do is just read the directions on the package. It will tell you how to bake your pie crust. If you need to use a pie crust that you don't need to bake, the directions will be there. If you need to use a pie crust where you bake the pie crust, then those directions will be there as well. But you want to really prick it well so that it doesn't get air under it and rise up and be uneven, because we want it to be even. And I think that looks good. I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it. I believe it said 7 to 8 minutes, and when it gets done, then I'll take it out and let it cool while we make the filling for our lemon meringue pie. While our pie crust is baking, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing our pie filling. And so I'm starting out with 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to add 7 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'm going to mix this. I like to mix all of my dry ingredients. I'll go ahead and add the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just mixing this up so that it hopefully won't lump on me, but I do like to mix all dry ingredients together, especially when I'm using flour or cinnamon or anything like that, it just really helps to mix it all together. Next, I'm going to add our water, but I'm going to add just a little bit of water to begin with, to kind of get this started mixing it up so that the flour and the sugar won't lump. I find that it does better to do it that way rather than just pouring the 2 cups of water in all at one time. Just kind of make a paste out of it. And then as you add the other water, then it all blends and mixes evenly. So just stirring this around, mixing the flour, the sugar, the butter, and adding the water. Now I'll add the remainder of the water. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, that certainly does not look like or sound like lemon pie, but I promise you it's going to be delicious. So now I've swapped off and I'm using a whisk to mix this together. And I'm going to take this over to the stove and put it on top of the boiler. Remember, I'm using a double boiler today. And I'm going to cook this until it begins to thicken. We want it to be thick. Once we get to that point, then we're going to add our lemon juice and our butter and our eggs. So I'll be back in just a minute and I'll meet you at the stove once this gets to going. Our pie crust is done. Our double boiler is heating up with our milk, flour, sugar, and salt mixture. And there's some things that we can go ahead and be working on while our mixture begins to thicken. And I'll show you how that's coming along in just a minute. I went ahead and separated our eggs. We're going to be using the egg yolk in the filling. So I separated that. And these are the egg whites that we'll be beating to make our meringue. And I'm going to set that aside. And I went ahead and cracked it so I could wash my hands before I start working with the lemon. And I melted our butter, 2 tablespoons of butter. So now I'm going to just work a little bit on this lemon. I have washed it and I'm going to cut the little ends off of it. And I'm going to take my grater and I'm going to use the little micro blade right here. And before I squeeze the lemon, I'm going to zest it. And I'm just very lightly zesting the lemon so that we can have just a little bit of this. We don't want a lot in it, but I do like a little bit of lemon zest in my lemon meringue pie. So there you go. That's not much, but it is a little bit of lemon zest that we'll put in the pie. So now I'm going to, I like to kind of roll mine. I've learned that from my mom. I just kind of get the juice loosened up and the lemon soft. So now I'm just going to divide it, and I've got some seed in it. I think I'll try to get that out what I can. I'll just get it out right here so you can see everything that I'm doing. So now I'm going to take this little lemon squeezer. I have another one that I use too, but my daughter gave me this one and I really like it. I think it's Pampered Chef, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to squeeze it. Look at that. Can you see it? And there's the lemon. So we'll set that aside, and it caught the seed. So now we'll put this one in, And we'll squeeze it. Fresh lemon juice. Love, love, love. I do love it. I really, really do. And there we have our lemon juice is ready to go in our pie filling when it comes time to add it. So now I'm going back over to the stove and check our mixture and see how it's doing. Let's take a look at our mixture that we have going here in the double boiler. I got it, I brought it to a hot temperature, and then I covered it, and I've been cooking it for about 15 minutes. You can see that it's beginning to get thick, and I'm going to cover it and let it continue cooking for probably another 5 minutes. And then we'll start adding our other ingredients. Our mixture is thick. I've cooked it about 20 minutes, and now we need to add our eggs. And there is a technique to this, and I will be the first to tell you that I have scrambled eggs before when I added them to a hot mixture. So we want to start, I beat our eggs with a fork. We want to start by adding just a tiny bit and beating it. This is called tempering. So we just add a little bit at the time so that hopefully we don't scramble these eggs. Just beating it while we're adding it, and this is going to take a little while, but like I said, we do not want to scramble these eggs. Just add a little bit at the time. And this is 3 egg yolks. Just beating it, and this is taking a little while, but I want you to see how we're doing. Just adding it, and you can see that it's changing the color of our pie mixture. It's beginning to look more like lemon pie than it is just a white mixture. This is called tempering the eggs. Trying to get them incorporated into a hot liquid without scrambling the eggs. I should do just a video on this and show people how to temper eggs. Once you get it a good bit of the egg yolk in there, then you can add it a little bit faster, but you don't want to just pour it all in there at one time, because I promise you your eggs will scramble and you'll have scrambled lemon meringue pie or egg pie, scrambled egg pie. I think we did it. How about that? I think we did. So now I'm going to add our melted butter. The juice from 1 lemon. And I think I see 1 seed in there, so I'll be careful not to get that in there. Just mixing that around. And the lemon zest. I'm going to take a whisk, mix it around. I'm going to put it back on the double boiler and continue cooking it for about 5 to 7 minutes. And once it gets done and completely thick, then we'll pour it in our pie shell. Our pie filling is thick, and I did put it back on the stove in the on top of the double boiler, and I cooked it. Actually, I didn't time it. I just cooked it until it was thick, and I just wanted you to see that it is thick. So now we're ready to pour it into our pie shell, our pre-baked pie shell. Now, I like to let mine set for a little while, and then I'm going to beat our egg whites, add the sugar, and make the meringue. I'm going to put it on top of it and put it in the oven on 350 and bake it probably for about 15 minutes until the meringue begins to brown. And when I get to that point, then I'll come back and we'll continue making our lemon meringue pie. Okay, I have let our pie set for a little while so that it would get firm before I put the egg whites, the meringue on it. And I just took the 3 egg whites and I beat those to a stiff peak, and then I added 6 tablespoons of sugar. So now I'm just going to put the meringue on the pie. I've preheated our oven to 350 degrees, and we will bake this until it's brown on top. I think about 15 minutes will do it, but I'll be checking it periodically before then, because I certainly don't want to overcook it, but I want to cook it enough. So I'm just going to spread this out. I like to kind of secure mine around the edges, just like that. This is going to be so good. Can hardly wait. Look at that. Doug came in while I was making this, and normally he knows food is going out the door to neighbors and friends, and he said, "Oh, you made a lemon pie." So I'm sure that he thinks this one's going to stay here at home, and we'll just have to wait and see about that. I do like to have something here for him. He loves his sweets in the afternoons, and with a good cup of coffee. So I'm just going to kind of swirl this around, making it pretty, just like that. And it is, our oven is ready. I heard the timer go off, and so now I'm going to pop it in the oven and let it brown, and our pie will be ready to eat once it cools. Our pie is brown, the meringue is brown, it's ready to come out of the oven. That is a beautiful lemon meringue pie. So I'm going to let it cool, and I'll see you in a minute. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. Thank you for encouraging me and helping me to get through making this lemon meringue pie. I know it's going to be delicious. I wish you were here to enjoy it with me. And I mean that, every one of you. We'd have to have just a sliver, but we could have a sliver and enjoy each other's company. I may not get the pie cut today. I wanted to tell you that I know that you like for me to cut, to slice, to dip, to serve, and to taste my foods. so that you can see exactly how it looks once it's done. But sometimes you have to wait for things to cool, and then sometimes you let them cool and they need to go in the refrigerator before you can actually cut and serve. And so time gets away, and then it's time to make another video. So if I don't get the pie cut today, maybe I can post just a picture of a slice of this wonderful, delicious lemon meringue pie, and I hope you understand that. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you again really, really soon.